Yo, welcome to Trippy Commentaries. Thanks for joining us in Grand Theft Auto 5, and thanks for joining us for our Chiliad Mystery Week. We have one last episode, and I wanted to do it big, so we're going to have an interview with one of the brightest members of the Chiliad Mystery community. We have to welcome ZionShad TV to the channel. What's up, Shad?
Thanks for having me, RJ.
Definitely great to have you. Check him out, guys. I'll put a link in the description. He has a very interesting take on the Chiliad mystery phenomenon, we'll call it. And I think there are some things that, you have in mind that many people haven't even thought of themselves. We do have to start off the episode at this mural. The first thing that comes to mind when it comes to this thing, Shad, for me, is the Illuminati. But you think it has a lot to do with the Chiliad mystery mural, of course, found on the top of the mountain. One thing that we pointed out here on the channel, and that is very relevant, is that both murals link up directly. So this is definitely crazy and obviously intentional from Rockstar to link up the two locations. Shall we have a lot to get into here in this interview? What can you start off with when it comes to this mural found here in Los Santos?
Well, starting off with like the textile mural or Sinner's mural, whichever one you call it, is the fact that there's the poem that goes around the whole border of it. And the poem is very deliberate in telling you it's how you play the game. Not necessarily like where you're going, what you're aiming for, but it's the things that you're doing in between that. If you can recall the first mission with Dom, he actually talks about it's about the journey and not the destination. And therefore, a lot of the mystery can be solved and found within the story itself, and not necessarily once you complete it 100%.
So these are the two murals overlaid. And one thing that stands out, guys, you can see the hands make up the cracked egg with the fingers in the back there. You can actually see the fingers make up the crack. You can see the egg on the bottom of the mural. So not only is it making up the mural itself, but you can see the cracked egg in the center of the hands. It's really mind-blowing, I would say here, Shad, but on top of all that, there's still a lot more going on as well.
Yeah, I mean, when you're looking at it too, what I get into in like the videos is the fact that this also kind of represents the sand glyph in a way, with the whole zigzags. And it was actually you, Trippy, that pointed out that it also represents that egg to me, which I have to agree with you. It does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Now, as far as the maze in the background, so that's another thing that I noticed not too long ago. There's that faint maze that goes behind everything there. Now, do you attribute that to the storyline? Because obviously you have the theory that the mural itself is pointing out the different directions to go in the storyline of Grand Theft Auto 5.
Oh, I strongly believe that the maze itself is the storyline. And how it's just represented that way in so many different fashions. Like, it's represented in the Chiliad mural. It's represented even to gamers like you and I who probably played games in the 80s. You have a mission called Pac-Man. I mean, come on, Pac-Man was all about mazes and running through them. And that's right there in the story.
We do have to get to a couple other really crazy symbols that are hidden in the game as well. Wait till you guys see the one that we'll show off at the end of this interview. And I also wanted to ask Shad about two other really popular theories. You have the karma theory as well as the all gold theory. So we're going to get into that, guys. So stay tuned. But we also have to get into perhaps the most intriguing character in the entire game. That's Trevor. One thing that I noticed that you said about Trevor is that you like him. Shad, what do you mean when you say that you like Trevor? I find him a very tough character to like.
When I first played this game back in 2013, it came out, I did a live stream for 36 hours.
What?
And I just fell in love with Trevor. Like, just the whole craziness of him, the whole rage factor, the part where you pretty much have God mode as your special ability. And
what about the part that he eats other people?
Hey, I'm not going to judge a man. if that's his diet, as long as it's not me.
I guess you got to take the good with the bad.
Exactly. You got to the good with the bad, man.
So now you do have a theory, or at least, probably almost some evidence at this point, that you think Trevor is coming back. What do you mean by that?
Well, if you follow my theory, the whole paradigm theory, you find that Trevor is the key to the story. You have to start a lot of missions with Trevor. You gotta play as Trevor. There's a lot of things that equals like Trevor's color, the color orange, and it all comes down to the death of Trevor. And I was having a hard time grasping that. I was like, dude, I don't want to kill Trevor. I love Trevor, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was pleased to find out that within my own theory, I can prove that not only did he need to die, but that there's a foreshadowing of his return, of him coming back. And I was like, awesome. This is it right here. This is where all those like Alterous files with like the dialogue come into play. This whole theory does it is because Trevor is the man. You know, you can't keep a good man down.
Now, the thing that lines up with me for that, because, I've definitely been doing a lot of exploring into what to do with that final mission, and we don't want to get into too many spoilers here, guys, but if you haven't beaten the game yet, for all two of you out there, you might want to skip this part. But, I've always wondered what's the correct choice in the last mission, because, of course, I wanted to keep all three characters. Like you, Trevor's my favorite character to use, but it seems like they are letting us know that we have to kill off Trevor. So, do you think that we need to kill Trevor, of course, in order to bring him back?
I do. I have to. If I believe in what I'm doing with the mystery, then I have to believe that Trevor dies. And there's so many clues towards why this has to be. Everything from the very beginning when you're in the prologue. If you were to do a comparison of Trevor's death to the prologue, it would be the fact that they're opposites. In that the prologue, both of his friends die and Trevor lives. When you pick Trevor to die, both of his friends are the ones that are right beside him, and both of them would live. Going back to the prologue, it's Christmas, the birth of Christ. When you go to kill Trevor, he calls Michael and Franklin Judas, as in the one who betrays Christ. So wouldn't it be logical that the game would have to end with the death of Christ if it started with the birth of Christ? And then this
Nice.
would then mean that if Trevor is resurrected, that's supposed to happen on Easter, meaning an Easter egg, a cracked egg.
Aha. Wow. That's
I
definitely some
know, a
crazy
little too
stuff.
deep, but hey,
That's unfortunately how Rockstar works. You definitely have to look pretty hard into these things to understand. I mean, you saw where the cracked egg was there, guys. Not easy to find, and of course, it is hidden in another mural altogether as well. Now, I do want to get to, of course, the karma theory and the all gold theory before we get into the yin yang of Grand Theft Auto 5. Why do you think everything has to be in the right order, and how can you confirm that that aligns?
well, to be honest, Trippy, is the only way I could have done it was like by finishing it and kind of doing like trial and error. But once I started connecting the whole storyline or building the theory that the story had to be done in a certain way, I had to break it down into what I thought the mystery was all about. And this came into play with a lot of other people's theories, such as karma, the Red X theory with the heists. And it wasn't until I started looking for the Red X's in the heists that a lot of the community, like Reddit, started pointing them out, such as the Merryweather heist, and you're in the submarine, and the red beams of metal underneath form that X. When I followed those, and I realized there was a like a total of missions, then I was able to put like this number to it. And so when I followed what the community established as the Red X heist choices, I found out that you ended up with 68 missions. And so once I had that 68 missions, then I was able to start adding numbers to things. So when I went over to the beginning and I was like, okay, how would I play the beginning here? I found out that Chop was the key to the first 13 missions. And if you recall, when you go to play Chop, you're walking with Lamar as Franklin, and Lamar's and Franklin are making fun of each other's weight. So Lamar's calling Franklin fat. Franklin's calling him skinny. And you come up to the welcome back billboard or mural that's on the garage next to the van. So that like mural plays a lot into it. It has the number 88, but part of the number is hidden by smoke, which just leaves you the number 8. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm going to test this out and I'll play it as mission 8. When I played it as mission 8, I then unlock the longest stretch after there. If you go and you play the longest stretch, the final cutscene, Lamar calls you a snitch, but he says snee I itch. And if you have your subtitles on, the letter I is singleized. It's singled out of the entire word. Well, the letter 9 is the ninth letter of the alphabet. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll play this one as 9. And then I started playing Daddy's Little Girl because after you do Chop, it unlocks both the longest stretch and Daddy's Little Girl. Daddy's Little Girl, if you guys can recall, or if you go and play it again, the boat is called Dignity, that you go over as Michael to get your little girl off. When you play Friends Request, you go and you kill Jay Norris. Well, while you're buying clothes, listen to the store clerk there, because she'll give you a line of dialogue that says, dignity aside, that just might work for you. Now, if you were to follow the meaning of aside, it's to put something off till later. So it's a dialogue clue of, hey, play this mission after Friend Request, which is Daddy's Little Girl. So that ended up placing Chop, the longest stretch, and Daddy's Little Girl as 8, 9, and 10 for my theory. But it wasn't until later on that I could confirm that that was actually the correct heist choice, or the correct mission order.
And he has some more evidence as well. Definitely check out his channel, like we said, because there's a lot that shows that Rockstar made sure people knew that there's a certain order and a certain way to complete the storyline. Now, for me, I've been exploring with 100% in the game, but as some people have pointed out, it's not only when you get 100%, but it's how you get there. Of course, the murals point that out as well. Now, you saw the different medals that were part of the missions there. That is different ways to rank, how you actually complete them. So do you think that we have to get all gold missions as part of completing the story?
Not on your first run through. If you're going to do the story based off of this paradigm theory, then you don't need to go gold your first time around. In fact, if you were to go gold the first time, you would mess up on some of the factors that need to be done, such as the mission deep inside. If you believe like the Epsilon track was trying to direct you in something, or in some other fashion you were supposed to do it however Chris Fromage or whatever they tell you to do, then it would be that you would have to follow the direction of actors or actresses. And Jimmy Boston says this in the last Epsilon mission. He says, yeah, you found out celebrities hire beings, people to guide you and lead you to truth. And deep inside, Franklin's driving with an actress. And throughout that mission, the actress keeps telling you to pull over, right? To go gold, you have to hit that red button and eject her out. But if you listen to her, you can actually pull over the car and she'll get out on her own and walk away. And that ends up being the correct way to do it within this theory. So if you were to try and go gold that first time, you would already screwed up because you killed the actress that was trying to lead you to, quote unquote, the truth.
So that could be proof that maybe getting gold in all the missions is not the way to go. Maybe you have to do them all in a correct way, just like you have to do the order in the correct way. That is extremely intricate. And of course, the final thing that I have to ask you about pertaining to the storyline missions for now, Shad, what about karma? You have these opportunities to kill some people or to save some people. Do you think a good or a bad karma run might be involved in this as well?
Well, the karma theory was one that I used to follow a lot, especially like on the Chiliad Reddit. And it intrigued me the most because it was the one that people believed you had to play the story in a correct way. The problem that I found with the whole karma theory, though, was the fact that everybody was playing all three characters as if they were the same character. And you have to realize they're not. Trevor is not Michael. Michael is not Franklin. Franklin is not Trevor. and therefore you have to play the game in their own kind of correct ways, like their own lifestyles. Now, karma itself still does play a part in this that I've found, but it's more along the lines of doing the random events, like the ATM robberies. You would have to go up to them and return the money, and that would kind of like level it out. But in the same fashion, you have to do 6 out of 10 armored car robberies, and therefore you would have that balance of karma in a way. What I started going more into, or what I found out, was that each character in themselves had a KDR that they had to follow. And Trevor was literally the Chiliad of it. He needed 1,000 kills. And where I found this out was in Nervous Ron, when you're driving the quad, it has TPI 1000 on the license plate. So that was the representation of the total kills. But it wasn't until I played Minor Turbulence where the Jets had the number 996 on it, which if you were to do the red heist choice for the big one, as obvious, Trevor only gets a total of 4 kills in that entire mission, based off of Lester shooting a rocket out of the back of the chopper. The first chopper that he hits has 2 kills, and then you down 2 other choppers after that to equal the other 2. So if you were to have 996 kills, just like that Jet said right before that final mission, when you finish that mission, Trevor then ends up with an exact 1,000 kills.
Interesting. And I think that shows you that it's not about, finishing the mission with 100% good karma, and it's not about having 100% bad karma. It's that, that combination of the two, the flow and the balance. I think that might be the key to the good karma or the bad karma theory. It's all about balance. So here we have the yin yang overlay. Shad, how does this link up with the 2 murals?
When you started off the video, like earlier, you pointed out that the murals were aligned on the map. When I first noticed this, I took it a step further and I started to evaluate the murals and the fact that they were opposites of each other. When you think about it, the Chiliad mural is to the north and it faces to the west. The textile murals to the south faces to the east. One's smaller, one's larger. One's higher in altitude, one's lower in altitude. One's full color, and the other one is literally black and white. And once I realized that, I was like, you know what, these things might actually be a yin-yang of each other. And it wasn't until I actually stumbled upon a yin-yang that had to be seen from a bird's eye view that it really started to click in my head that, hey, these things are both connected, one and the same, but then they are also exact opposites. But in that same sense, you had to treat both of them as if they were one. So if one tells you that the story is involved, then that would mean the other one would be telling you the same.
So there you have it, guys. Like he said, just like all of the other hidden symbols in the game, of course, the yin yang here in Grand Theft Auto 5 is hidden from a bird's eye view, and this one is very well hidden. Now, another thing we have to point out is that it seems to have 5 bushes that kind of circle around in a star formation. I don't think that's a coincidence, Shad.
I'm still working on a theory to that. It's kind of like one of my goofy theories because I'm not a real big guy into overlays, to tell you the truth. And that's why this one, I had to really convince myself of. But when you're standing on there, even the circles themselves, if you're to stand on that black and white one, you would just face north and they would still align just like they would align as if they were the murals.
Yeah, this is definitely epic, guys. The hidden yin yang here in Los Santos. Let us know what you guys think. But thanks again for joining up, Shad. This was an epic interview. I really appreciate it. We definitely have a lot more to talk about. Make sure to subscribe and show love to ZionShad TV. I'll have a link in the description. And thanks to all of you guys for being part of Chiliad Mystery Week here at the channel. We have a lot more definitely epic events coming at you. Shad, any last words, man? Thanks for coming on board for the interview.
Nah, good luck hunting, Kiflam, and stay trippy.
Make sure to stay tuned, guys. Next week, we will have our takeover Hopefully you guys can join up for that as we must take over the Humane Labs in Grand Theft Auto Online. We still have a lot more to show off, so definitely stay tuned. Have a great weekend, and as always, make sure to stay trippy, my friends.